everybody, and welcome to the Captain's America Radio Show, hour number 2 of the weekend edition here, wherever you're listening to us from. We certainly appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to tune in and listen to us. Now, we have got the pleasure right now of being able to speak with author Joy Tiz. Her last name is spelled Tiz, and she's sometimes known as the Tizinator because she's the author of Obama Nuts, a cult leader takes to the White House. Thank you very much, Joy, for being on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you know, you have written an article, everything you always wanted to know about Soros but were afraid to ask. Well, number one, I'm not afraid to ask, but this is a great article, and I'm just rolling over this one.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm glad you do have the courage to actually talk about it.
Well, I'm not politically correct, Joy. I am not going to go there. We have a lot of listeners, not only military Tea Party folks, but conservative American citizens. Now, going back to 1988, in an interview with Steve Kroft, George Soros acknowledged forging documents or pretending to be Christian to save himself from the Nazis. What's this all about?
Well, so far so good. That's the only story that anybody wants you to hear, is that he actually was born in Hungary. He's a non-practicing Jewish family. His father was an attorney. He was able to forge documents for them, which, again, yeah, okay. And then for some reason it's not entirely clear to me, he went to go live with a godfather who was very active in the Nazi Party. George was 14 at the time, and he used to go around with his godfather and confiscate valuables from Jews and serve them with the notices that they're going to be going for a train ride. And again, you're talking about 14 years old, which in most states in this country is the age of reason. You're supposed to understand right from wrong at that age. And in the Steve Kroft interview in 1998, he asked him directly whether he felt any remorse, and he said no.
Okay.
That somebody else would. So there was his one and only opportunity to set the record straight and, you know, tell us he was just a kid, he was manipulated, he feels horrible. No, feel fine about it. In fact, there's another quote in my book that said he found the work exhilarating.
Now, he's used his multi-billions of dollars to form MoveOn.org, which is definitely an organization that's taken control of the Democratic Party the last couple of election cycles. I see a huge implosion right now of the Democratic Party. How's he going to get his way out of this one?
Isn't it beautiful to watch? I'm really enjoying it.
Oh, yeah.
He may not. He's having a tougher time taking over the United States than he thought. You know, his specialty is tanking various currencies. He manipulates markets. He tanks a lot of currencies. He tanked the British pound in 1992. We got arrested and convicted in France of insider trading. And then suddenly we had this very suspicious stock market collapse in September of 2008. You know. He may not get away with it. I really believe that the one reason that we should be optimistic about all this is the fact that Soros and Barack Obama, like a lot of left-wing radicals, don't really understand America, and they don't understand how different we are from the Europeans in terms of our malleability. We're hard to push around, much more difficult than a smaller monolithic culture like you'll find in Europe that's used to being dominated by monarchs. And that's where I think the Tea Party movement is a perfect emblem of that pushback.
Well, the folks in the Tea Party movement are mad as hell, and they're not going to take it anymore. First of all, their taxes have gone out of sight. Secondly, coming up this week or thereabouts, we're going to see the Bush tax cuts at the end of the year rolled back. It's already been announced. That may or may not happen depending on what happens to the Congress on November 2nd, 2010. I can tell you for a fact that with the National Tea Party Convention, which is a meeting of minds, if you will, of the Tea Party organizers, and there's a lot of independent groups, but they've all come together for one cause, and that is no taxation without representation, number one, and number two, not on my watch.
Yes, and it's been a wonderful grassroots thing to see. I can't imagine how it could get much better than having actual citizens stand up for their rights and start pushing back against these politicians. Again, you know, Soros is a genius when it comes to manipulating financial markets. He has no understanding of human nature, nor does Barack Obama. They're both pathological narcissists, so they don't really put a lot of time and energy into trying to understand what other people are thinking or feeling. And the Tea Party's been a really visible sign that we're not like Europe. We're not going to roll over and play dead. We're not going to be pushed around.
Well, tell us about George Soros when back in 1979 he set up a misnamed foundation called the Open Society Institute. This is anything else but.
Right, it's a closed society institute. It's basically George Soros King of the World Institute. And it's virtually indistinguishable. If you go to the OSI website, you're going to see Obama's platform spelled out perfectly, every single plank. I mean, it just drives me insane when I listen to pundits go, well, maybe Obama got the message from the people and he'll start running this. No, he has no sway over what he does. It's all coming from his boss, the unrepentant Nazi collaborator.
And Joy, talk to us about your book, Obama Nuts, A Cult Leader Takes the White House. What prompted you to write that, and give us a little background on it?
Well, I saw a spate of books coming after the last election because it was such a fascinating exercise, and I predicted that everyone would take the wrong tack, and everybody was so focused on Barack Obama, the person, when the reality of it is he is the least important player in the equation. And we're finding that out now. He really is nothing special. It took a confluence of factors to enable him to take over the White House. He didn't get it. We enabled it. And you have to look at the pop culture at the time, the economic condition at the time. There's a whole confluence of events that had to happen, plus the Soros manipulation.
Well, here's my question for you. Right now, the Tea Party's meeting in Nashville, Tennessee. You're very aware of the Tea Party movement. They're planning their midterm election strategy, and it looks as if, like a lot of those conservatives, and they are conservatives, whether or not they're Ron Paul supporters, whether or not they're libertarians, whether or not they're Republicans or Democrats, it looks like they are going to lean towards the Republican Party, because right now, I am watching in front of me by watching the polls, and I talked to a national pollster in the last hour, Fritz Wenzel from Wenzel Strategies. I'm watching the Democratic Party implode as we speak. They are losing every time you turn around all across the country.
Well, I don't think it's a coincidence the DNC is in Washington right now. They're having all kinds of emergency powwows over there. They are in a huge panic, and what's interesting is to even listen to some of the left-wing commentary, the Keith Olbermanns and the Chris Matthews, who are starting to criticize other Democrats and getting very, very frustrated.
Okay, and folks, we've been speaking today with Joy Tiz, the author of Obama Nuts, A Cult Leader Takes to the White House. Joy, give us a website where we can go to take a look at the book and the articles you write, please.
JoyTiz.com.
Okay, very good. And Joy, we thank you for being on the Captain's America program, the weekend edition, and we look forward to talking